Welcome back to GCTV and welcome back to your post studio here for Global Champions League Round 1 in New York on Governor's Island. As it stands now, Madrid Emotion lead. They are one of 3 teams on double clear, along with Falkensvaart United and Prague Lions, who keep their hunt for a top 4 position, something that they were unable to do in 2021, very much alive. And again, 2 very strong performances from Peter de Vos and Niels Bruynseels this afternoon mean that they not only are one of the 3 leading teams, but as we say, that top 4 hunt remains firmly intact. So let's talk about the championship story and how things have now started to shape up at the end of the weekend. Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, were the first of the 2 championship contending teams to make their way out of the gate. Lily Keenan first out the gate, and unfortunately for her, 2 fences going down, 8 penalties for Lily Keenan, and it immediately put the Stockholm Hearts on the back foot. It immediately put the Stockholm Hearts under pressure. But is pressure not exactly what Peter Fredriksson lives off? H&M Christian K delivering a crucial clear, keeping the team on 8, knowing that with Berlin Eagles still to come much later in the afternoon, that at least the clear from Peter Fredriksson was going to keep them somewhat in the hunt. We caught up with Lily Keenan after her round.
My first choice of words, I probably can't say on TV. The middle part was great. I didn't ride as well as I would have liked to, and I definitely didn't ride as well as I need to for this. So that was pretty disappointing. Unfortunately for my team, that's going to cost them. So hopefully, I think that, you know, it's quite hard today, and I think that hopefully after this round we'll have some luck. And then tomorrow, luckily, we have Malin, who's amazing, and Peter again. So we're counting on them to help us.
So what made it so hard?
Well, I mean, for me, I just didn't ride well, which could happen any day over any course. But I think that the wind is really quite difficult for a lot of horses. And most of the venues that we've jumped this year on the tour, we really haven't had any wind. This is different. We're on an island. And the jumping is a bit delicate. I rode 2 backwards. I rode like it was quite delicate. And that's always the fine balance here, because you have to always ride with momentum. It's part of the sport. You have to be riding forward, but you're always that fine line between too much forward and knocking the jumps down and enough so the horses actually have the scope for the fences. So we'll see how it plays out, but I think that it's challenging enough, and I think that's appropriate really for what this level is about.
Described as challenging by Lily Keenan, who also confirms then to GCTV that, as we expected, that Malin Baard Jonsson will indeed jump GCL round 2 along with Peter Fredriksson, as they put all the big guns into the mix to try and keep this championship hunt alive. As it stands now for the Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, they find themselves on 260 points. We know that this is 2 points behind the Berlin Eagles, and on 8 penalties, they now find themselves in 10th place. So, as the Berlin Eagles came out much later on in the afternoon, they knew that a score of 8 penalties and an overall 10th place finish, anything that could be an improvement on that was going to help edge them closer and closer to this title as we now get moved closer towards Riyadh. So, bring out the Berlin Eagles powered by Fundis Reisport, as they now knew what lay await. They knew what the Stockholm Hearts had put together. So, let's show you how Berlin then were able to come out and respond, knowing that a championship lead was at stake. Owen McMahon, the first man out the gate for them on Chakra, the 12-year-old grey. Well, he then was unable to jump clear. 4 penalties for him as he looks to try and hold on to that red armband, that championship armband. Philip Weishout and Kobe. Such a tried and tested pair over the year. Delivered a clear, keeping the Berlin Eagles on form and giving them a fence in hand, giving them 4 penalties in hand on the Stockholm Hearts. It puts them in a strong position for GCL round 2. So let's look at this championship story and remind you as to how things stand now, because Stockholm Hearts 2 points behind on 260, find themselves on 8 penalties with a 10th place finish now in New York. Berlin Eagles, I beg your pardon, on 262. They now find themselves on 4 penalties and are currently in 5th place. So a 5-place standing difference between Stockholm Hearts and the Berlin Eagles. It puts the men powered by Fundis in a really, really strong position. I must apologize about that. But Berlin Eagles find themselves in a really strong position and a 5-position lead ahead of Stockholm Hearts going into round 2. Let's close the championship story. Let's show you how the top 4 story has started to evolve. Let's bring up the Paris Panthers. Paris Panthers then earlier on today coming out with Darragh Kenny and Ben Meyer. Darragh Kenny starting out with a score of 4 penalties. Ben Meyer on Celtic HB putting together arguably the most unusual and unexpected performance. Ben Meyer with 12 penalties, eventually taking the Paris Panthers to a score of 16. And that puts them under serious pressure from an overall championship and a top 4 hunt perspective, because they are currently in 6th place on 199 points. And an overnight score of 16 means that they may well lose serious ground on that top 4 hunt. The Shanghai Swans, I beg your pardon, currently in 3rd place on the championship. Had a very unusual scenario happen where, as much as we heard in commentary about lightning striking twice, well, we saw a final fence go down for the Shanghai Swans on 2 separate occasions. Marlon Zanatelli, the first man out on Grand Slam VDL. That final fence going down, taking him to 4 penalties. And Max Kuna on Vancouver Dreams, thinking he had jumped clear. He then eventually coming home in 4 as well, as that same fence, that final fence as well, for Shanghai Swans going down. And for them now, all of a sudden, they find themselves on 8. And they would have wanted to be much closer. In fact, they were just 2 fences away from jumping double clear and joining the leading group. So I wonder how disappointed the Shanghai Swans will be feeling about those 2 late fences going down. Now, we tried to catch up with Niels Bruynseels earlier on, but Prague Lions have been a really, really strong contender for team of the afternoon today. Peter de Vos on NASCAR coming home in clear, making sure that they then find themselves in a top 4 hunt. They're currently on 209 points in 4th place, followed then by the London Knights, who struggled. We'll get to them in a moment. But Niels Bruynseels and Peter de Vos both jumping clear on NASCAR and Matador. And what it does is really put the pressure on the London Knights, Paris Panthers, Rome Gladiators, and of course Valkenswaard and Madrid Emotion. But we know how well they responded to that pressure. Prague Lions now on clear, and they put themselves in a really solid position with just 1 round of jumping left in New York before we get to Riyadh as well, that they will hold on to that top 4 place ahead of their very own playoffs that they host later on this year in Prague. Now, Madrid Emotion, the very first team out the gate, always such a difficult draw. Put together a very strong performance. Michael van der Vleuten and Al Wiki coming out first for the team, delivering a clear. Angelica Augustin Zanotelli then followed up on Kalinka, and she too was able to deliver a clear, applauded by her husband Marlon Zanotelli. And it really gave us the impression that it was going to be an easy afternoon in New York, but as we saw very high scores follow, it certainly was not the case. Madrid in motion, sensational. We hear from Michael van der Vleuten.
So far there's only 1 team on clear, and I must say my horse jumped very well. Nice clear round, and the same for Angelica. So no, super, and looking forward for tomorrow.
So why did it play it out so well for you guys?
we were the first team to go, and so we had to walk the course very well and go in the arena with the right plan. And I think that was what happened for both of us. We had a nice round. The distance came all good, and yeah, the horses were trying today.
Is it also that the horses fit this arena? Can I say that?
Yeah. Elwick, she's good in a smaller arena, delicate jumps, and that's what a horse like that is also what we need in this arena here in New York. And Angelica prefer also a little bit of smaller arena with her. She can keep the right control, and yeah, so that's why we choose for these two horses this event.
So next tomorrow, are you going to change the plan?
Well, my father is the team manager, so on the end he will decide. I'm gonna give him a call later on, and but yeah, normally if the team is right for our feeling, then we keep it like this, and I have the feeling it will be like this.
Suggestion from Michael van der Vleuten that there is no need to change something that is not broken. Madrid Emotion producing a sensational double clear, and because of that find themselves now as the provisional lead. They are just slightly ahead of Valkenswaard United though. Let's show you how they performed in GCL round 1 today. Marcus Eining, first man out, delivering a very important clear, does the German veteran, having no difficulty with the harsh conditions, applauded, overlooked by Edwina Tops-Alexander. John Whittaker then followed on Equine America Unique de Francfort, going on to jump clear as well. And at that stage, only the second team to jump double clear, as we see John Whittaker dealing with the triple combination. Well, we caught up with Marcus Eining to get his thoughts.
So first of all, nice hat. How are you?
I'm fine. It's quite cold today in New York. Yeah, but we had a good start.
A good start. How was it to jump with these kind of weather conditions?
Okay, we have no rain, so we can't complain. It's a bit windy. It's a bit different, but at the end it's for everybody the same. And yeah, we were happy with the 2 clear rounds.
So I spoke already with John. He told me his horse is more experienced than your horse. Young horses can be more affected by these kind of weather, how do you say it? This kind of windy weather. Can you explain that a little bit more to me to understand how is it for you to ride?
Okay, John is right. His horse is a bit older and more experienced. He is a bit older and more experienced. But my horse and myself, we have also a bit of experience. So I think we were a good match today, but it's more the facilities around. It's windy, the flags are moving, and it's noisy and everything. So some horses, they are a bit confused, but ours behaved very well today. So yeah, we were happy with the 2 clear rounds.
So 2 clears on the podium, 2 more to get or to help John on the podium again.
I hope so, yeah. I hope so. For us, it's an important show. We still have the chance to get under the first 4. That's very important for us. The pressure is up, but the start was good.
So you must know that for Marcus Eining, who comes from Germany, where the winters can be quite harsh, for him to find things relatively chilly in New York, it does suggest that perhaps the weather has not played ball in Governor's Island this weekend. But they are one of the teams on double clear. Madrid Emotion, Valkenswaard United and Prague Lions, that show you the standings after GCL round 1. To remind you where we are, those 3 leading teams, Miami Celtics, Berlin Eagles, find themselves on 4. Scandinavian Vikings, Hamburg Giants and Rome Gladiators just behind them, a further 4 penalties behind. We'll show you the bottom half of the table now. Shanghai Swans, disappointing for them. 2 late fences for both Malon Zanatelli and for Max Kuhner, I beg your pardon, find themselves on 8. And Stockholm Hearts, your championship contenders, down on 8 as well. New York Empire, disappointment for the hosts as well. who find themselves in a disappointing position. But that is where we leave it at the end of Global Champions League Round 1. We will see you in New York tomorrow. Join us again in Governor's Island. This is GCTV. Super Saturday comes your way tomorrow. Good night.